Welcome back to Life's Chillin'. My name is Avital, and this week's Parshat is Parshat Vayigash. And Parshat Vayigash begins with such beautiful, happy reunions. First, we have Joseph revealing to his brothers his true identity. Keep in mind, his brothers had come to him in Egypt looking for provisions to sustain them during the famine, and they did not recognize Joseph, who was now second in command over Egypt. And finally, after Joseph puts them through this series of tests that we saw in last week's Parsha to see what their loyalties were, he decides that it's the right time to tell his brothers that he is Joseph, their long-lost brother. And so Joseph goes ahead and he tells his brothers his identity, and then he tells his brothers, don't be upset that you sent me here. It was really for this beautiful purpose of being able to provide for you and for our family during these years of famine that I was sent here. And then he asks his brothers to please take provisions and to go back to the land of Canaan, where their father is and where their families are, and to bring them down to Egypt, where Joseph can take care of them and look after them during this difficult time that they are encountering. And so the brothers do just that, which leads to the second beautiful reunion of the Parsha, which is between Joseph and Jacob. Jacob, who thought his son was dead for so many years, and now he gets to reunite with him. And Joseph also has the opportunity to let Jacob, his father, meet Pharaoh, who he has been working with closely. And once all of the family of Jacob and all these descendants arrive in Egypt, they settle in the land of Goshen, and the Parsha continues on. The Parsha sort of ends with what I want to talk about today, which is the severity of this famine. The famine was so severe that the people, were coming to Joseph, who was, sort of ruler of the land, for provisions. And at first, they came to Joseph and they were able to provide him with money. They were giving him money in exchange for provisions. But then they got to a point when there was no more money. So the Torah tells us that the people came to Joseph, and it says, when the money was exhausted from the land of Egypt and from the land of Canaan, all the Egyptians came to Joseph saying, "Give us bread. Why should we die in your presence? For the money is gone." So then Joseph told them, he said, "Bring your livestock, and I will provide for you food in return for your livestock if the money is gone." So Joseph says, okay, you don't have money anymore, but what do you have? What do you have that you can offer in exchange for provisions? And the people say, okay, they've got livestock. So Joseph tells them to bring their livestock in exchange for food. And then that works for a bit of time, but the Torah continues that they came to him in the next year and said to him, "We will not withhold from my lord that the money and flock have been exhausted from the land, and nothing is left before my lord but our bodies and our land. Why should we die before your eyes, both we and our land? Acquire us and our land for bread, and we with our land will become serfs to Pharaoh and provide seed so that we may live and not die, and the land will not become desolate." So the people are saying, we don't have anything to offer again. Our money is gone. We have no food. Our flock is now gone. All that's left is the land that we dwell on and our own bodies, and we're willing to give both of those things to you in exchange for food, to sustain ourselves and our land and our families. And they aren't sort of coming and just saying, give us for nothing. They're coming and saying, here's what we have left. This is all we have to offer. This is what we have, but it's not much, and what can we do with that? And so the Torah continues that Joseph said Joseph acquired, first of all, Joseph agreed, and he said, okay, I will take your land. And the Torah tells us that Joseph acquired all the land of Egypt for Pharaoh. So he did not accept them as slaves to Pharaoh, but he did take the land. And Joseph said to the people, "Here is seed for you. Sow the land, and at the ingathering of the harvest, you will give 1/5 to Pharaoh, and the other 4 parts shall be yours as seed for the field, and food for yourselves and those in your household, and to feed your young ones." And the people told Joseph that you have saved our lives. So Joseph, again, he doesn't take the people as slaves, but he does take their land from them. And not that only that, but he imposes his tax on them, a tax of 20%, that when the harvest comes, 20% needs to be given back to the land of Egypt. So it's a very interesting thing, because the way in which these people are coming to Joseph begging, in a sense, for sustenance, and the interaction between them and Joseph, the people and Joseph, is a very interesting one and teaches us some very interesting insights. Because what we are seeing, again, is that Joseph didn't take the people as slaves, which is interesting. But Joseph also didn't give them anything for free. And I think that that is because the lesson in that is that we always have something to offer as people, and that there is something to be said for being able to still have pride in what we bring home. If Joseph had taken from the people their bodies, so as slaves, if he had taken from the people everything if he had given to the people food without taking anything back from them, the people would have felt like they were totally and completely dependent upon Joseph, upon Pharaoh, upon the land of Egypt. They had nothing left in which to stand on their own 2 feet for. They had nothing left to offer. They didn't have anything that they could give, and they could feel very lost and without a purpose and without meaning, because now they're just riding on the grace of the government. But in many ways, by Joseph and the people making this agreement of, okay, you don't have money, so give me your flock. Okay, you don't have flock, so give me your land. Okay, you don't have land anymore, then I will impose a tax upon the produce that you are able to make with the seed that we're going to provide to you. Joseph was really giving the people an opportunity to produce for themselves and to continue to feel like they had a part in their own story and their own outcome, so that they could have that sense of responsibility, that sense of pride, and that sense of purpose and meaning to their lives. And I think that that's something we have to keep in mind for ourselves, that we always have something to offer, and that being able to contribute to something gives us a sense of purpose and a sense of meaning. And so I think that's a lesson that is really beautiful we can learn from this week's Parsha. I wish you all a wonderful week and a Shabbat Shalom, and I look forward to speaking with you next time.